John, what's going on in the data warehousing environment? What are the tipping points? What's causing some of this new activity, including automation?
Well, I think that in terms of data warehouse automation, being able to really productize some of the things is being driven by our requirement to produce faster environments. We once talked about implementation time frames being in 18 to 24 months, and over the last couple of years we've talked about 12 to 18 months is almost unacceptable. So as much automation as we can put into the system helps us to deliver these platforms a little bit better and faster. So no longer are we single threaded through that concept of having to build some of these things. We've had these techniques for a while, and now we're starting to see them come into the analytical data warehouse database type of environment there.
What's driving that? What's causing that movement?
Well, I think we're seeing a lot faster changes in terms of business. So if we're making incremental changes to an environment, we want to make sure that we're consistent. If we're going from a development to a test to a production environment, that type of promotion schedule. If we're going to something where we want to make sure that our design matches what's being implemented so that we can have the right level of documentation, that's important to us. And rather having to go and make those checks, those certifications, I guess, I don't know if you want to call them checks or certification, we can get consistency between these environments. We won't have to go back and do consistency checks to do verification and things of that nature because we built it into an automated process. We now have the ability to be sure that what we're moving from one area to the next meets our needs. But also I think it gives us that opportunity to take those resources that may have been, diverted from very advanced types of activities. Checking table consistency is not something we want our lead analysts to be working on or our lead developers to be working on. We want them working on the pressing problems.
Talk to me about the whole idea of automating versus rolling your own or hand coding.
Yeah, so they say that a lot of times one of the biggest components of any implementation effort, sometimes up to 60% of that, is in the actual implementation and the coding aspect of it. So when we are able to automate, we can take, say, 80% of that effort, pull it into a 20% type of configuration environment, and then focus our energies really on the stuff that gets us the big value, the competitive advantage aspects of it. So it's that ability to compress that implementation time frame and to be able to have assurance that when we look at it, we're talking about something that is consistent between environments, consistent with our design, as opposed to being fraught with those adjustments that oftentimes come with a hand coding type of situation.
And what about the naysayers, or I guess some of those hand coders who would say, automate in an automated way, it just can't happen or be done as well as we can?
Well, I think we need to respect the art that goes along with an analytical environment, whether it becomes from data models, database administration, et cetera. All of these components all come together, and there's a good amount of value add that comes from the professionals who've been doing it. But if you ask those same professionals, what are the things that they hate most about it, is that 80% of their job that's the most mundane stuff, the uninteresting things, the consistency checks, the building of tables, or they've actually gotten their own workarounds where they're using scripts and they're able to do that type of thing. And what we're doing is taking off of them that load and putting it into an automation environment so that they can focus on the hard parts that they really enjoy or we really need to have them focus their attention on. So
you've taught this class now once or twice. What's really resonating with the folks in the audience? Are any surprises, any ahas?
Well, I think we have a lot of people who kind of take that when we had those early days of taking ETL coding from being a scripting environment, whether we were using Perl or something like that, and moving it into a platform environment where it'd be a little bit more automated. They're fearful of, wait a minute, I can't really, that can't do what I do. But I'm also seeing a lot of people who are excited about that opportunity to shed some of this workload that they've decided, I don't like that workload. It might be job security workload, but high value workload is in some of these other areas. We're seeing a lot of people who are interested in that. We're seeing people that are interested in some of the maturity of the tools, whether it be, they kind of go, so are you talking about just the scripting environment? And we can go all the way from self-styled scripts that you might have to maintain yourself, all the way up to platforms that allow you the ability to do configuration in a standard environment for metadata, for, well, business metadata, technical metadata, things of that nature, and then have that information be able to be pushed back down into that automated environment.
So what about the key points of why to automate, some classic attributes or environment scenarios, and then maybe one or two where you would say, probably not the right idea?
I've heard that there's some people that advocate almost kind of a certain critical mass of tables. Some people have used tables, some people have used processes as kind of their minimum floor. They kind of look at it in terms of where does an automation effort really start to make sense. And I think someone once told me if you're doing somewhere on the order of like 16 pushes into a production environment over the course of, say, a month, then it definitely makes sense for you to do that type of thing. I think it also becomes important when you start to get multiple environments like development, test, and production, so you have that consistency. One of the areas I've heard a lot of people talk about is, I like this quote, I can't remember who exactly gave it to me, but it says, "I'm not in the business of putting my problems on roller skates." So if you don't have a well-defined process about what you want to implement, or at least how it's going to be received, why would you want to automate that and create faster issues for yourself? Your goal is to do faster quality work, or to fail faster in terms of your development environments, to say, does this work for us? No, it failed. Okay, let's do some adjustments to the model, hit the production button. Now we have that environment ready for us to go, whether it be empty or populated. Some of the products will populate for you. If you go down that path, then you're really getting yourself in a direction where you can be successful and not put those problems on roller skates.
What else we got?
Future of automation?
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of the future of database or data warehouse automation, I think it's fairly bright. I think we're on the edge of where some of these products or practices want to go. I think we have some cultural hurdles to consider, but I think just as we found people amenable to automating and productizing ETL environments, we're going to find people who are interested in doing the production side as well for these types of database or data warehouse environments, and really freeing themselves again to focus on the business definitions that we're talking about, as opposed to the fine-grained technical implementation details, and assuring that those match either our designs or throughout particular production, dev, and test environments.
TDWI is probably close to 20 years old. Does it surprise you that we're still trying to figure out ways to build data warehouses faster?
I think that, after 20 years of TDWI being out there, I think we have a lot of craftsmen, a lot of artisans who take very close look at what they're trying to do. And I think to a certain extent this new practice may be a little threatening to those craftsmen, but I think that when they see how valuable it can be, again, to reduce that 60% of that level of effort, if you want to give it that gross number, really is going to enable people to go, yeah, we can deliver faster, we can deliver better, and we can make an impact on the things that we want to do, and eschew the stuff that we don't enjoy doing, the stuff that that we don't want to jump out of bed and go, yes, I want to go build some tables today. They want to go and model tables. They want to design tables. They are not necessarily sitting there saying, hey, I want to run some DDL when I get up in the morning. So.
Great. Well, good, man.
All right, sir.
Thank you.